I said, she's been intimidating my daughter since last year. I said, when I came today and I told her about what happened. So Officer Gonzalez said, okay, let me go in and see what's going on. She came out maybe 15, 20 minutes later, and she said three things. She said, Cherie Pruitt said, you said you were threatening her, you were on the school grounds without a visitor's pass, and that you said you were going to have someone come to the school with a gun. And then I asked for the second principal who was there at the time. His name is Steve Takamoto. I said, Mr. Takamoto, did I say such a thing? And I said, when Officer Gonzalez broke it down to us and said this was during a school site council meeting, and Mr. Takamoto said no, that was not true. And I said I didn't threaten her, and I wasn't on the school grounds without a visitor's pass. The school sent me a letter and said that they did an investigation, and based on that investigation, I was on the school grounds without a visitor's pass. And I said, that's impossible. Nobody reviewed the video to see, to get the truth. They didn't make any mention of the threat that she claimed, or that I said I was going to have someone come to the school with a gun. During the school site council meeting, we were discussing safety procedures. The school was talking about different types of bells to ring for safety procedures. And I suggested having someone come up to the school and stand across the street and see how long it would take to identify the person and get the kids to safety, because currently there is no safety procedure in place. They said no, so we moved on. I contacted the district, and the district said that they could actually, and I talked with the safety people in the district, and they actually could perform such a task. It's called the Readiness Emergency Management Systems Test. So they could do that. They could have someone stand across the street and see how long it would take to get the kids to safety, because there's no program in place. So I said to Officer Gonzalez, Mr. Takamoto just told you no one made any mention of a gun. I certainly did not. I have a son in college and a son going to college both on full scholarships. I would never say such a thing. I said, are you going to arrest Cherie Pruitt for lying? And she said no. I waited maybe a week or so and went over to Bear Creek and spoke with Officer Gonzalez again. I said, Officer Gonzalez, she lied. She told you I was going to have someone come to the school with a gun. Officer Gonzalez says, no, she didn't say that. She said she may have heard something like that in passing from someone else. I contacted Lieutenant Zachary. Lieutenant Zachary told me about a situation with her daughter at her daughter's school and said that they were just busybodies, being nosy, and yes, she was retaliating against my daughter because I had complained. Then the woman went and filed a restraining order because I was filing complaint after complaint after complaint, because in my opinion, with me trying to run for school board, with me trying to run for a position on the PTA, you just cannot tell a lie on a parent like that. So I've reached out to all these people to try and get some help. I reached out to the mayor. I reached out to city council. I reached out to the superintendent. I've reached out to everyone to get them to do the right thing. No one wants to do the right thing. Now, Cherie Pruitt went and filed a restraining order, and I went and filed a restraining order for my daughter's safety. Cherie Pruitt went to the judge, and she wrote to the judge that I said I was going to have someone bring a gun to the school, even though she knew it wasn't true, even though she said it wasn't. She said she heard it in passing or something like that. But she wrote on her paperwork that I was going to have someone come to the school with a gun, and that's why she feared for her safety, and a number of other lies. And the judge acted on that. Now, I never received any type of notice for court. So I went back to the judge, and I asked the judge for an opportunity to come before her and tell her everything that's been going on. And the judge is giving me that opportunity. I have never said anything about that. And this judge granted her a restraining order, keeping me from being able to come up there to the school and see about my daughter, or even make my daughter feel comfortable about going to school. My daughter missed weeks of school. Weeks. I had the school child protective services and attendants come to my home, and we told them about the problem that was going on, about Cherie Pruitt intimidating my daughter, following her to the bathroom, me mugging my daughter, rolling her eyes, the glares, all of that stuff. And the Child Protective Services and attendants said there was nothing they could do about that. But they wanted my daughter back in school. So after weeks of having her at home, I let her go back to school. And Cherie Pruitt is video recording my daughter. I've never authorized this. She's video recording my daughter. She's sending strange people to my car. She's still intimidating my daughter. She found a student to shove my daughter. Cherie Pruitt even shoved my daughter when my daughter was in line to receive her honors certificate for the, she's received the honors certificate every 9 weeks, or however often it is that you get the honor certificate. She's received it every single time. We haven't even been in California a year. We're not even from here. But every single time she's gotten one. So Cherie Pruitt was standing there, and the other students, she was saying to the other students, congratulations, good job, congratulations. When my daughter passed, she shoved my daughter in the back and said, go. So my daughter screamed and said, don't touch me. But no one came to my daughter's aid. No one came to help my daughter. So now I went to court, and Cherie Pruitt has told one judge, she heard someone say this in passing, and she's told to another judge, I'm going to have someone come up to the school with a gun. Now, how is it that I have managed to never, ever do this anywhere else? I've been on the school board. I've been PTA president. I've been able to actively and successfully support my children for 20 years. I've got two black boys on full scholarships, and I've been a single parent there for 11 years. And all of a sudden, I'm going to wait and come to this school and threaten some woman? That's ridiculous. I went to that school every single day in support of my child. My routine never changed. My daughter wanted me to sit there and wait for her to go to her classroom because she was scared of Cherie Pruitt. Scared. Even times I would leave, she would come right back out. She would call me and say, I'm scared. I don't feel safe. I don't feel comfortable. I think this woman's going to do something to me. And I have to turn right back around and go and get her. Now, you guys have allowed her to write all of these false reports because I'm coming up there to check on my child, not even knowing that this woman filed some report against me. And I'm supposed to get something in the mail. I'm supposed to get something to say, you have to go to court. I'm supposed to get something to say a judge made a decision. I have yet to receive anything. I had to go up to the courthouse when I was filing a restraining order to keep my daughter safe and request a copy of it to even know what she wrote on it. We have been treated so unfairly by the Stockton police. And Lieutenant Zachary, initially she was on my side. Officer Gonzalez says, no, she didn't say she was going to have someone to bring a gun to the school. No, she said, first she said, you said you were going to have someone bring a gun to the school. Now she's saying that was just hearsay from somebody in passing. Now I don't even know what they're saying. Lieutenant Zachary went from saying, yeah, she's just retaliating. They're just gossiping. They're just busybodies. Same thing happened to my kid. Now Lieutenant Zachary is saying you were harassing her. You were doing this to her. You were doing that to her. No, I never said that. No, I never said this. And that stuff is not true. I recorded it. It's not true. Lieutenant Zachary, the woman said my emails were harassment. My emails were complaints. They were complaints that were sent to the district and to the principal and to her. And in March, the district finally sent me a complaint form. And I never sent her another email after I received that complaint form. I included her in when I got the complaint form. I scanned it and sent it back. But I have been completely devastated. My daughter has been under siege. You had some cop named Officer Swain to come up to the school. Right after my daughter came back, right after Child Protective Services and attendants told us she would be safe, I called up there to speak with her, to check on her and find out that she, how her day is going, to see if she's okay. And the people in the office put this guy on the phone who tells me, I'll let you talk to your daughter if you meet me at the front of the school. So I called the police. What's going on? They switched me to Lieutenant Zachary, who says, why didn't you go up to the school? But aren't you supposed to call the police when there's an emergency? I have been treated horribly because Cherie Pruitt has been able to tell a lie and just run with that lie. And then she's not even making sure she covers her tracks. But see, that's what happens when you tell a lie. You got to keep telling lies and they end up running into each other. So now one judge done wrote down that she said she heard it in passing. And another judge, she done told, I actually said it. And you guys are protecting this woman. And she just lying. Meanwhile, my daughter, who actually needs the protection, is still terrified at school by this woman and her friend. They take her lunch. They make her throw it in the trash. They take her ice cream that she buys and make her throw it away. They don't touch nobody else's. Nobody's protecting my daughter.
Okay, so a couple questions. When was CPS at your house?
Hold on, I'm going to pull it up on the email.
Julie, can you let them know I'm going to be late? Thanks.
I'm going to say it was May 7th, but I'm going back just because I've documented everything. So,
May 7th of this year?
yes, we haven't even been here a year yet.
Okay. And who was the CPS person that was out?
Bill William Toledo.
Okay.
It was May 7th, and that's when I sent them an email and said William Toledo and Paula Calderon, and I recorded that as well, and they were aware of it being recorded. Paula Calderon and William Toledo.
And you're saying the school has not done any investigation into your concerns about the way your daughter's being treated?
The school sent me a letter and said that they had investigated the February 21st incident where Officer Gonzalez came, but then I received another letter a week or so ago from Miss Vetica, and she said my numerous complaints are not going to be responded to, and that I'll get the letter and I'll read it to you.
No, I think I may have that.
But basically, the school has refused to do anything about it because they're more concerned for a lawsuit. Which, if they had just, and I'm gonna tell you something else. We went to the judge about a week or so ago, and Cherie Pruitt told that judge that Miss Vetica, who is the assistant superintendent, told her to have no dealings with my daughter. But she has not listened. She shoved my daughter. She came up next to my daughter. My daughter froze in terror. And I sent them an email and I told them that. And then she told the judge, she video recorded my daughter getting her honors certificate in May. And if Don Vetica, she told Don Vetica she wouldn't be doing her job if she stayed away from my daughter. So she has refused to stay away from my daughter. Even the assistant superintendent has told her this.
Okay, a couple questions for you. Have you considered moving your daughter to another school?
My daughter is new here. Why should I have to make her feel like she did something wrong? Captain Meadors?
I don't think it's a matter of making her feel like she's doing something wrong. If you're not happy with the school and the environment at the school, do you think it might be in your daughter's best interest to move her to a school where you may be more happy?
You're right. You're absolutely right. And I may do that. But initially, I didn't even ask them to terminate Cherie Pruitt. I just asked them to make her write a letter of apology and to leave my daughter alone. But they refused. And then they ushered, Steve Takamoto was there. He told Officer Gonzalez the truth. He said Miss Smith did not say anything about a gun. And they took that man right on out of that. A week later, he was gone. And I asked them, I said, have him write something in writing saying, I said no such thing. But they ushered him right out of the school and brought in another guy. And this guy has no knowledge of what's going on. None whatsoever. All I've asked them to do is to do the right thing.
Okay. What is it that you would like from me?
I would like for you to get in writing from Steve Takamoto that I didn't say I was going to have someone bring a gun to that school, because I didn't say that. Mm-hmm. And then I want you to ask Lieutenant Zachary to tell you the truth, because I know California is a two-party state, and I didn't get her permission when we initially spoke, and I recorded that conversation, but Lieutenant Zachary was on my side. She said that Cherie Pruitt was gossiping and that they were busybodies and they were retaliating against my daughter.
Okay. In regards to the issue at school, okay, what is it that you want from the police department? Because there's only so many things that I can do.
Okay.
If you're concerned that the incidents with your daughter have not been investigated by the school, then I can speak with the school district and the officials and find out what has or hasn't been done.
They're just not keeping her away from my daughter. That's one thing. But the other thing, Captain Meadors, is this woman filed a false restraining order against me. I've never been a threat to her. Never. Not one day.
In regards to the restraining order, okay.
That I just found out about from a tip from the secretary.
I wasn't in court, so I don't know what she said in court. Okay. That kind of information, I cannot go and tell her to retract that. I can't go in and say that you're lying or she's lying.
Well, okay, I can prove that she is.
I'm in the middle here. She apparently got a restraining order based on what she feels her concerns are with you. You, I believe, are in the process of trying to get a restraining order against her in regards to your concerns, correct?
For my daughter's safety, yes. To keep her away from my daughter.
You are exercising your legal right to do that.
But what she has also done, Captain Meadors, she has filed false police reports to you guys every time I came up to the school to drop my daughter off, to pick my daughter up, to bring my daughter lunch. She filed these false police reports, and I didn't even know that I had a restraining order against me. The secretary just told me this like a week or two ago, and I haven't been back up to the school.
You were never served with a restraining order?
I was never served, sir. I was never served.
If you were never lawfully served with a restraining order, then it's not enforceable. It's only enforceable.
Well, the judge granted it. The judge granted it, and she lied.
There's a difference, ma'am. If the judge grants a restraining order, okay, once the judge grants it, then that restraining order has to be served by someone or a law enforcement agency. If you're telling me that you have never had a police officer, a sheriff's deputy, or someone present you with a restraining order and tell you that you're being served with a restraining order, then the restraining order is not enforceable.
I have never received a restraining order from a police officer, a sheriff's officer, or any other person.
Okay. If you have been sent a letter from the school district dictating to you about being at the school.
No, I have not. I have not.
Fine. Okay, because I don't have control over that.
I haven't received a letter from the school. I haven't. Okay. Yeah. The only thing that they said was they investigated the incident on February 21st and found that I was on the school grounds without a visitor's pass, and which is an absolute, it's a lie. But then I received something else in May from the assistant superintendent and said that they were not going to respond to my numerous complaints and something else, but I don't have it right here in front of me. It's actually in my file in preparation for court. But
okay, let me tell you what I'm going to do. Okay, I will speak with the principal at the school in regards to your concerns. I have copies of several of the emails you sent in regards to your concerns and the conduct with your daughter. Okay, I will speak with the principal and find out what has or has not been done. So I know exactly where we sit with that.
Well, she told the judge she recorded my daughter. We went to court on May, what is this? We went to court on May 16th, and she told the judge that even after being told by the assistant superintendent to have no dealings with my daughter, she video recorded her.
Okay, and that issue is a school issue. If she is not, and I don't know it because I'm not there. All right, I'm in the middle between you and the school and Miss Pruitt and whoever else is involved, because I have not experienced any of this firsthand. If she has been, let's say her or some other teacher, whoever it is at a school, if they've been told by their bosses not to do something and they do it, just like we all have bosses. We all have someone we answer to.
Right.
If I'm told something by my chief, and I'm told not to do it, and I do it, I have to answer for that. I answer for that internally. That's the same thing with the school district or with the school employee. That's an issue that needs to be addressed by the school. When I speak with the principal, I will express your concern about that, and that will be up to him to deal with it.
Now, I have gone to him on numerous occasions. And he won't do anything. Now, I'm going to give you an example of something, okay? I used to come up to the school, like I told you, every day to bring my daughter lunch. And it's the same thing at the high school. I brought my son lunch every day. I'd sit there, I'd say hey to the ladies, I'd answer some emails, I'd respond to some calls, and I'd chit-chat with like Debray, who was sitting in the office, Lana, who sits in the office. Then all of a sudden, me being sitting there was creating a hostile work environment for this woman, Cherie Pruitt, who has been lying. And I said, so why is it all of a sudden the things that I have always done is now considered creating a hostile work environment for her? And then when I try to get you all to keep my daughter safe, and my daughter's scared to go to school, scared to go to the bathroom, scared to, be friends with her friends and sit and have lunch because she thinks this woman going to come up behind her and stab her or something. I said, nobody's keeping my daughter safe. He says he has no knowledge of that. He says, Miss Smith, let it go. Miss Smith, you need to let it go. That's what the principal says to me. I said, Mr. Jordan, you weren't here. You weren't here when she told her.
He's the current principal?
He's the third and current principal. I said, you weren't here when she lied. I said, but ever since then, you aren't. I'm going to give you another example, and then I'm going to let you go or say what you want to say. When I brought my daughter back to school after the protective services and attendants came to the house, I brought her back to school. There was a fight going on in the bathroom. I was standing at the window to sign my daughter in. Ronnie DeLoach, who is Cherie Pruitt's friend, she's also the one who's been intimidating my daughter, and I got a restraining order against her too. She came up, and she didn't go and see about the fight. The principal wasn't around. Nobody was in the front office. She gets on the walkie-talkie and says, Addie Smith is on the campus. She didn't do anything about the fight. So I left. I took my daughter and I left. My daughter was devastated. The next day was when I sent her back to school. And that's when the Officer Swain came and they let Officer Swain get on the phone and said, if I meet him at the front of the school, that he would arrange a meeting with my daughter. I said, am I being blackmailed? Is she being held hostage? So I called the police. And the 911 operator transferred me to Lieutenant Zachary. Lieutenant Zachary says, well, if somebody's holding your daughter hostage at the school, why didn't you go to the school? I said, why didn't you tell me to call the police? Everybody that I've spoken with, who I'm thinking my daughter's being held hostage, told me to call the police. This stuff, it's not right. It's not right.
You know, and I guess speaking as a parent, when I hear all of your concerns, and I understand not wanting to run away from a problem or make your daughter feel like she's the issue. My concern would be at this point is looking at what is best for you and your daughter, and looking at a different school. I mean, I just if it is so traumatic for your daughter at this school, and there's so many issues, I am sure that they would be willing to allow you to have a district. I can't promise it. I'm just thinking where I would go as a parent. I am sure that they would allow you to or at least listen to your case as far as allowing your daughter into a different school to avoid all of these issues, especially if it's been like this for so long.
Yeah, but you know why though? Why don't at this point with this woman telling so many lies, wouldn't it just be simpler to terminate her or even send her to another school? Because she's the one who's told all the lies. She's the one who's harassing my child. I'm not there every day, all day.
I completely understand that, and that's an issue with the school. And like I said, I can't guarantee you one way. I can't guarantee you the other. I can only tell you from listening to you and hearing what you're telling me, where I think I would be going as a parent, and what I can do for you from the police department. So what I'm going to do is I will speak to the principal. I'm gonna meet with him, and I'm gonna talk with him. And after I'm done talking with him, my